In the myths of antiquity, we find stories created to explain everything that was mysterious and unexplainable. When there was no science to answer questions about thunder, the sunrise or death myths became the solution. These narratives weren't just tales for entertainment, but sacred truths for every ancient civilization. They helped people understand the beginning of the world, the will of the gods, and even the fate of souls after life. From Greece to Egypt, from Mesopotamia to the Americas, every culture created myths to give meaning to the unknown. Many of these ancient stories still influence our culture, our art, and even the way we think today. In this video, we'll travel through different civilizations to reveal the main myths that shaped human history. And all of this explained in a simple, engaging way in just 12 minutes. In Greek myths, the gods were seen as supreme forces that controlled nature and the destiny of humankind. These stories weren't just simple tales, but sacred truths that gave meaning to everyday life in ancient Greece. Zeus was considered the king of the gods, seated high atop Mount Olympus and armed with his thunderbolts. His blazing lightning wasn't just a powerful weapon, it was the symbol of order and ultimate authority. Prometheus challenged that power by stealing the sacred fire of the gods and giving it to humans. The gift of fire brought light and knowledge, but also eternal punishment for Prometheus. Hades, Zeus's dark brother, ruled over the underworld and kept souls trapped in his domain. For the Greeks, crossing into the underworld meant facing dark rivers and unavoidable divine judgment. These myths reinforced the idea that nothing happened by chance, everything was tied to the will of the gods. In the end, the Greeks saw myths as explanations for secrets that reason could not yet understand. In Egyptian myths, religion, nature, and the afterlife were always connected in divine narratives. The myth of Osiris and Isis told the story of a god murdered and later resurrected by his faithful wife. The Egyptians believed Osiris became the supreme judge of the underworld, responsible for deciding the fate of souls. Isis, in turn, was seen as the goddess of magic and protection, representing eternal love and devotion. Another central myth was that of Ra, the sun god, who crossed the sky in a golden boat during the day. At night, Ra descended into the underworld and faced the forces of chaos to ensure the rebirth of the sun the following morning. This cycle showed the importance of order and renewal in Egyptian life. The famous Book of the Dead gathered spells and instructions to guide souls on their journey after death. One of the most well-known trials was the weighing of the heart before Osiris compared to the feather of justice. These myths revealed a civilization obsessed with immortality and the constant search for balance between life, death, and rebirth. In Mesopotamian myths, the peoples of ancient Sumer and Babylon created stories to explain the origin of the world and the destiny of humankind. The myth of Gilgamesh told the journey of a king in search of immortality, revealing the universal fear of death. In this epic, Gilgamesh faced gods, monsters, and impossible challenges in his attempt to live forever. In the end, he discovered that true immortality lay in his deeds and in the memory left to his people. Another central myth was that of Tiamat, the goddess of chaos, defeated by the god Marduk in a cosmic battle. From Tiamat's body, Marduk created the heavens and the earth, establishing order in place of chaos. This narrative showed that the Mesopotamians saw creation as the result of struggle and sacrifice. There was also the story of a great flood sent by the gods to destroy arrogant humanity. One man built an ark to save his family and the animals, a story very similar to the biblical account of Noah. These myths revealed a worldview marked by fear of the gods, the power of destiny, and the fragility of human life. In Norse myths, gods and heroes lived in a universe full of battles, mysteries, and omens of the world's end. At the center of this universe was Yggdrasil, the great cosmic tree that connected all realms. Among these realms were Asgard, the dwelling of the gods, Midgard, the world of humans, and Helheim, the domain of the dead. Thor, the god of thunder, was humanity's protector, wielding his hammer, Mjolnir, against giants and monsters. Loki, the trickster god, brought chaos and confusion, often deceiving both gods and mortals with his cunning. One of the most striking myths was Ragnarök, the prophecy of the Norse end times. On that day, gods and giants would clash in a cosmic battle, and even Thor would fall before the serpent Jormungandr. Ragnarök was not only destruction, but also rebirth, for a new world would rise from the ashes. These myths reflected the harshness of Viking life, surrounded by wars, brutal winters, and unpredictable seas. For the Norse, accepting fate with courage was the greatest virtue, even in the face of inevitable doom. In Hindu myths, the universe was explained as an infinite cycle of creation, destruction, and rebirth. At the center of this cycle was the Trimurti, formed by Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma was the creator responsible for giving shape to the world and all living beings. Vishnu was the preserver maintaining cosmic order and protecting the universe from the forces of chaos. Shiva the destroyer represented the necessary end so that new creation could emerge. One of the most fascinating myths was the churning of the ocean of milk, in which gods and demons worked together to obtain the nectar of immortality. In this story, Mount Mandara was used as a churning stick, and the serpent Vasuki served as the rope to stir the cosmic ocean. From the ocean emerged treasures, gods, and even poisons, showing that creation always brings both light and shadow. These myths reflected the Hindu belief in reincarnation, where each life is only one stage of an eternal cycle. For Hindus, understanding these myths was a way to grasp the balance of the universe and the very meaning of existence. In Chinese myths, the creation of the world and humanity was filled with symbols of balance and harmony. One of the oldest myths spoke of Pangu the giant, who separated the sky from the earth with his immense strength. After his death, Pangu's body transformed into parts of nature: mountains, rivers, wind, and the sun. Another important myth was that of Nüwa, the creator goddess who shaped the first humans from clay. When the sky broke apart, Nüwa was also the one who repaired its cracks using colorful stones. These deeds made her a symbol of compassion and creativity in Chinese tradition. Dragons, in turn, were not seen as monsters, but as benevolent guardians of rain and fertility. For the ancient Chinese, the dragon represented power, luck, and the connection between heaven and earth. These myths reflected the pursuit of order and balance, values central to Chinese philosophy. Thus, Chinese myths blended fantasy and morality, helping explain both the origin of the world and life in society. In pre-Columbian American myths, the gods were deeply connected to nature and human destiny. Among the Aztecs, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, was the god of wisdom and wind. He was seen as the creator of humanity and the bringer of maize, the sacred food of his people. The Maya, in turn, preserved in the Popol Vuh the story of creation, where the first humans were shaped from maize. This myth showed the importance of food not only for survival, but also for cultural identity. The Incas, for their part, worshipped Inti, the sun god, protector of kings and source of the earth's fertility. Inti was celebrated in great festivals such as Inti Raymi, which marked the agricultural cycle. These myths highlighted the direct link between the gods and natural elements like the sun, rain, and maize. For pre-Columbian peoples, honoring the gods meant ensuring balanced prosperity and order in the world. Thus, American myths united spirituality and nature, explaining the origin of life and strengthening the unity of the community. In conclusion, we see that each civilization created its own answers to life's mysteries. From the Greeks to the Egyptians, from the Mesopotamians to the Chinese, all sought to explain what reason could not yet. These myths portrayed powerful gods, brave heroes, and natural forces beyond human control. More than stories, they were lessons about fear, hope, courage, and destiny. Despite cultural differences, all ancient peoples shared the same need to give meaning to the unknown. Many of these myths remain alive, influencing art, religion, and even modern science. To reflect on them is also to reflect on ourselves and on our eternal search for answers. In the end, the myths of antiquity reveal that human imagination has always been the greatest tool for facing the mystery of existence. If you enjoyed this journey through the myths of antiquity, don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel to keep exploring amazing stories from different civilizations. Share this video with friends who are also fascinated by mysteries and mythology. And tell us in the comments which myth caught your attention the most today. See you in the next video with more fascinating curiosities from the past and the present.